Hey Soul Fam, welcome or welcome back. My name is Leah, aka the Cosmic Rose, and we are doing a new moon horoscope for the new moon in Aries, which is going to be on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023 at 0 degrees and 51 minutes of Aries. This is going to be happening at 1:23 p.m. Eastern Time in the lovely sign of Aries. And by the way, happy astrological new year, happy Aries season, happy Ostara to pagan practitioners. It is a fiery start to the astrological new year, and I'm very excited to dive into this new moon with you guys. So let's jump into it. Let's just get right into it today. You know, it is Aries season officially, so let's get into it. Before we do get into it though, if you are new here, my name is Leah, like I said, aka the Cosmic Rose, and we do astrology 101, tarot, and spirituality here on my channel. Go ahead and smash that like button and hit that subscribe and bell notification so you can stay up to date on the current astrology, as well as all sign horoscopes, all sign tarot, and spirituality. So let's jump into it, guys. New moon in Aries. So this new moon in Aries is a burst of fire to our astrology in general. We have a lot going on. We have Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn about to ingress into the sign of Aquarius on Thursday. So that in and of itself is a pretty big transit. It's the biggest transit. I have done several videos on the topic. It's a huge transit. In fact, it hasn't moved signs for 15 years. It's been in Capricorn for 15 years. So the fact that it's moving into a new sign, it's a new generation. So looking at this new moon, I will jump into the aspects. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of the general themes and what I'm seeing as far as what we're coming into for the new year. Also, we can talk about the equinox, the vernal equinox chart as well if we have time at the end of the video. But I'm going to start by just giving you overall general themes. So first and foremost, obviously we are at or just past the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, and it's the start of Aries season. Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac, and Aries represents first and foremost our ego. It represents action, fire, enthusiasm. It's a cardinal fire sign. So this is initiating things and it is getting things going. It is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars just came out of its retrograde shadow in Gemini. It's about to enter into Cancer, and it is currently at 28 degrees of Gemini for this new moon on the 21st. And it just came out of its shadow. So he is picking up speed. He's still out of bounds technically, but he is picking up speed and he's ready to get out of Gemini because he has been in Gemini for 7 months, which is unheard of, so to speak. It's very rare for Mars to be in a sign for 7 months. So I'm very excited for Mars to get out of Gemini, and I'm sure all Gemini placements in general and the collective energy in general is ready for that transit to happen. But that being said, we are in Aries season. So Aries season is ruled by Mars, and Mars will be entering into Cancer. When we're looking up at this new moon, we really have to focus on the fact that I will get into the aspects, but Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, which makes this new moon sextile to Pluto. Pluto about to ingress on Thursday into Aquarius is a humongous energy shift, and we're already feeling that energetic shift. I know I've been having like a lot of technological difficulties as of late. It feels like since Pluto moved to 29 degrees of Capricorn, it's like, you know, Aquarius is a sign that deals with technology. So it's like we're already seeing malfunctions in technology, and it's crazy to say the least. But I do feel like there's this underlying tension or anxiety of accelerated motion and anticipation of what's to come, because Pluto is about to ingress with all this fire energy, all this Mars energy. Mars getting out of shadow from its retrograde in Aries season in general. We have Mercury in Aries as well as Chiron and Jupiter. And, you know, Jupiter expands that Aries energy as well. And then Mercury is our communication. So that's another thing to look out for with this new moon is communication can be a little bit fiery and aggressive. So just be aware of that, you know, how you're communicating with people and expressing things and intellectualizing things. You know, you could be overdoing it as far as like maybe you're trying to learn a new topic and maybe you're like nose diving into it and not taking any time for self-care or not taking any time to nurture relationships or, you know, friendships, things of that nature. But there is definitely an overall theme of wanting to make some changes to specifically our environments, because the biggest aspect, I will get further into it, is a square from this new moon in Aries to its ruler Mars. So there's an underlying motivation to want to change and to want to go in a new direction, and maybe a way to change our either immediate environment or change things on a bigger scale. And to me, the key here is really to find an equal balance in taking a more spiritual approach, a more spiritual and grounded approach. It's really important, especially during Aries season, to ground ourselves into the earth. You know, if it's too cold to go outside and put your feet on the earth where you're at, I would definitely recommend grounding crystals. I like to use black tourmaline. That's my go-to favorite protection and grounding crystal, as well as I like howlite. I like shungite. I like tiger's eye. Also, carnelian is useful for Aries season, but that's more of a fiery energy. I don't know. I just prefer to use something to ground me out when we have all this fire energy or water energy, really. You know, I have to stay grounded. That's just my own opinion. I don't know about you guys, but yes, I definitely think that this is really about being sure that we're taking aligned spiritual action, because action is very much indicated with all this Aries energy, and that's what we should be aiming for. But at the same time, we need to remember to take action that's in alignment with who we are, our mission, our soul, and our purpose here on earth. So getting into the aspects for this new moon in Aries, I do want to highlight the square to Mars. So the square to Mars, this new moon at 0 degrees of Aries, it is squaring Mars over at 28 degrees of Gemini. Like I said, this new moon is also sextile to Pluto at 29 degrees. Eros, the asteroid of love and sexuality, is also conjunct Pluto, which I think is interesting. I just thought it was worth mentioning. You guys can go look up Eros if you don't know too much about him, but love and sexuality are two of the main themes of Eros. And, you know, with this square to Mars, like I said, this is really highlighting tension in our immediate environments. So be careful of tension or arguments or disputes in your home or neighborhood, or, you know, people you interact with on a daily basis. It could be coworkers as well. But being in the sign of Gemini, that's really our immediate environment, or people or things or places that we see in our everyday lives. But this can cause some tension and aggression in those areas of our life, as well as harsh words or making ego, like too much of an ego-based action. So, or communication, ego-based action or communication in regards to people or environments that we see and interact with daily. So we can really use this energy and utilize the square aspect as opposed to having it create tension. Just the awareness of the square itself can bring us a motivation to change the things that need to be changed. You know, if there has been an underlying sense of aggression in with your coworkers or your friends, family members, or neighbors, this square can really activate a switch in us, as opposed to using it from the shadowy side, using it to the higher octave and using it to promote change for the better. So if there's been tension, you know, this is a great chance for you to communicate with people on how to make things easier and flow better and smoother, and how to move forward and build things for the future. With the sextile to Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn, this is really supporting all the past work that we put in the past, because Pluto through Capricorn was a 15-year transit, and it was all about putting in the work. So Pluto is a very generational planet. So we can think of Pluto in regards to the collective or in our personal lives. So take it how it resonates. But to me, this is really supporting all our past work that we put in. And now is not the time to stop. When Pluto moves to 29 degrees, this is when we are kind of on overdrive in a lot of ways. And this is looking back on all the things that we have had to rebuild in regards to our shadow work, things that we have had to destroy as far as our, you know, shadow side and our tendencies, and things that we've had to rebuild in a new way. Maybe we've constructed new belief systems, spiritual belief systems in general, over this last 15-year transit of Pluto. You know, this Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn is really preparing us for this ingress that's going to happen on Thursday, on March 23rd, of Pluto in Aquarius. And Pluto in Aquarius is a longer transit than Pluto in Capricorn. It is a 20-year transit, whereas Pluto in Capricorn is 15. And this is really about what we have rebuilt and looking forward on what we're going to have to rebuild as a collective, because Aquarius is a collective sign, but it does apply in your personal chart. So just if you want more info on that, I have made several videos on Pluto, specifically in Aquarius, on my TikTok and on YouTube. And you're also going to want to look at where the house placement of Pluto, or Capricorn and Aquarius and Pluto are at currently. So going into other aspects, so those are the two main aspects happening directly from this new moon in Aries. You're definitely going to want to see where Aries is in your chart, which house rules Aries in your chart. I do use a Placidus house system, so it's going to be different if you use a whole sign system. Either way, the rulers of the houses are going to be the same. So whatever house rules Aries is ruled by in your chart is going to be where the themes of this new moon or new beginning, fresh start, all this enthusiasm is happening, and where you can set intentions for this new moon in your personal life. Okay, and then other aspects I wanted to touch on as well. A big one is Venus conjunct the North Node or Rahu. And this is a pretty big one because, you know, when we think about the nodes, it's been brought to my attention that I just noticed something actually as I'm looking at the chart. But let me finish my thought. It's been brought to my attention that we really need to look at the nodes from a Vedic perspective because that is where the nodes come from. That being said, I'm incorporating a little bit of both. I'm blending. That's kind of how I do my astrology anyways. I am still a Western tropical astrologer. I use some Hellenistic techniques, intuitive techniques. I use, you know, different timing methods, etc. I kind of blend it all together. That's just kind of my style. It's almost like an eclectic practitioner of astrology, even though astrology is mathematical. But anyways, what I'm getting at here is, let's just focus on the nodes. So the nodes in Venus, or the North Node in Venus, I should say, are conjunct. And what I was going to say is I noticed when I just glanced at this chart is we do have Juno at 5 degrees, we have Venus at 5 degrees, and we have the North Node at 5 degrees, all in the sign of Taurus. So that's 555, interestingly enough. And the, you know, fives in numerology represent change. So I know that the collective is about to undergo a lot of change. We might be undergoing a lot of change in our personal lives where this conjunction of Juno, Venus, and the North Node are happening in our personal charts. So be aware of that, where that is in your chart, where 5 degrees of Taurus is. But I do believe this is really about getting more comfortable and being more in harmony and flow, so to speak, in regards to love and money, because of course Venus is love and money themes. It can go either way. Take it how it resonates. It's usually both. Look and see where Libra and Taurus are in your chart because Venus rules both of them. And we really want to be aware of things like selfishness and greed and desires, because these things can collapse what we're building. What we're building is a sign of Taurus. But the thing about Venus and Taurus in general is there can be a tendency for overindulgence. There can be a tendency for overspending or, you know, over-sexualizing things in a lot of ways because, you know, Venus Taurus is a great placement. Don't get me wrong. It's actually, you know, it's at home in the sign of Taurus. But there is a lot of, you know, just wanting to be comfortable and wanting to get a quick dopamine hit, if that makes sense. So just be wary of that. Overall, I don't think Venus conjunct the North Node is a terrible transit, but there is a tendency, especially from a Vedic perspective, for things from the shadowy side of that conjunction to manifest. And then having Juno there, this can be specifically in regards to love, even more so because Juno is an asteroid associated with the wife or marriage. And we definitely want to be aware of our spiritual values. Venus is a planet of value. It's our values, our spiritual values, and what we value in ourselves and other people, specifically in regards to relationships with Juno there. So, you know, what is in alignment in regards to relationships and our one-on-one connections? What is truly, you know, I don't really have another way to put it than other than, is it really in alignment with your soul, your purpose, and your mission? And then Venus is actually squaring Pluto as well, which is definitely worth mentioning because if your values aren't aligned, this could definitely bring up a sense of separation in regards to love and romance, especially with Juno conjunct Venus, square over to Pluto and Pluto in Capricorn. I'm sorry. It's like you're at the 29-degree mark of Pluto Capricorn, and it's almost like you've built these relationships, and now is like a checkpoint, so to speak, of, you know, it's a make or break moment. So we might see a lot of breakups with this new moon, but on the flip side, on the positive side, this could potentially be beneficial for a lot of people that are in toxic situations and needed this fresh start, this Aries energy, to make the move to get out of things that are not in alignment and that are not building for the same future that you want for your life and your mission and your spiritual values and purpose. Because, like I said, Taurus is a sign about building with Venus there in the North Node. This is the value we have in our destiny. So Pluto squaring that point at 29 degrees is really like, okay, all this work we put in, was it worth it? Should we continue on into Aquarius with this person or this situation or this job or this way that we're making money, you know, this marriage, etc. So this is like a checkpoint in a lot of ways. That really kind of just came to me, and I didn't even notice that Juno was there when I was looking at this beforehand. But other than that, we do have Pluto, which is in conjunction to Mars. Pluto at 29 degrees, of course, and Mars at 28 degrees of Gemini. In conjunctions are aspects that highlight there is nothing in common between the 2 points, not modality and not element. So with Pluto in conjunction to Mars and Gemini, to me, there's kind of a discrepancy of what needs to change, but what also needs to stay put, because it's like Mars and Gemini is just ready to go and take action and make changes to our immediate environment and our communications and how we're intellectualizing things, what we're learning, and we're wanting to learn all these new things and explore all these new places. But at the same time, there's like an underlying subconscious want to stay put. And it could be flipped too. It could be subconsciously you want to go, and then consciously you can't move. So take it how it resonates. But there's there's a need or want to stay put, but also make some changes to our lives. And to me, this is really about easing into the change, go with the flow, make sure we're taking aligned and spiritual action towards things that are equal between our ego and our spiritual selves, because Aries season is about ego. And I know there's a lot of stigma around the word ego, but ego just means our sense of self. But we need to find a happy balance between collective themes, our mission, our spiritual values, and our ego. Our ego being, you know, a drive to make money or start a business or, you know, do things for our personal gain. But don't get lost in the ego, because that's where the stigma from the ego comes from. So anyways, I think that's all I have for you guys. I hope this horoscope was helpful. And please do comment down below where this new moon is happening in your chart. I would love to hear any feedback from you guys about energies you've been feeling, things of that nature. So anyways, happy Aries season and happy Aries new moon. I love you all so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.